Without any further ado, ladies and gentlemen, we move forward in our event as I'm pleased to invite Mr. Avinash Gupta, MD and CEO of Dun & Bradstreet, India, to deliver the keynote address for the day. And could we please welcome him with a big round of applause, everyone?
Good evening, everybody. Good to see you all. I heard the comment on the energy, so I got to get the energy up here. So now listen to me carefully, because I'm going to give you lots of pearls of wisdom, and hopefully that will get the energy up. Good. So my name is Avinash. I'm based in Bombay. I'm the CEO of Dun & Bradstreet in India. I've been in DNB for maybe a little less than 4 years. For some of you who may know DNB well, DNB has been around close to 200 years. So I'm a very small part of that history. I guess, there are many old legacy firms in the world, and, we've been around for a long time. I guess in our coffee table books, we've got lots of history in the coffee table books, but one of the history we also have is that 4 US presidents worked for Dun & Bradstreet at various points in time. The one which really boggles my mind is Abraham Lincoln. So Abraham Lincoln worked in Dun & Bradstreet as an employee, and so did some other president. He was the first guy before, I guess, he went and made all the key changes in US history. So I'm hoping that somebody like me will also become at that level. So that's the first joke of the day. So great. I'll share stuff as we go through. I don't know how much time I have, but some colleague will remind me when to stop. So first of all, great to have you here. This is the 15th event which we are having on the Business Enterprises of Tomorrow, the SME event as we call it. And we've been in this kind of business in India for now around 28, 29 years. And we have some other of our IP events, as we call it, which have run longer. But the SME, the BEOT, started 15 years ago, and we're very happy that we did it. And it resonates a lot. And why does it resonate a lot? And maybe there I will get some numbers to you. I guess you've talked a lot about the Indian SME sector. I'm sure that's been kind of talked about, percentage of GDP, how many SMEs in India. I think Mohit was talking about the number of SMEs and formal credit. So I guess you got a fair sense of that. But just to give you a global landscape, right? Because I think the challenges which are here are very similar elsewhere. So in Dun & Bradstreet, we are very proud, that we have this concept of the Duns number. Everybody familiar with that? Yeah. So Duns number is nothing but an international ID, right? And because I guess it's been around for such a long time. Again, a little bit of history. The US had, the globe had, the world had a Great Depression just before Second World War, late 1920s, 30s. And they started a fair bit of, I guess, handout because of the Great Depression. And at that point in time is when US Social Security number started. The Aadhaar number in the US started nearly 100 years ago. It was about making sure that Avinash Gupta got some money if, he was unemployed in the US. And that's the same rationale for the Aadhaar number here. So somebody smart in Dun & Bradstreet a couple of decades later thought that if a person can have a number, why can't company have a number? And that's how the Duns number started. So we've been numbering the world for a long time. And because we've been numbering the world for a long time, we have approximately 570 million entities globally with this Duns number. So that's why the number is so powerful, because we have so many companies with this Duns number. And what I was going to share with you on that is, obviously in that, the legacy of the Duns number, how we keep it is that the Duns number never dies. So even if a company goes out of business, the Duns number remains, and if we can get some information, we'll try to keep updating it. So that's why it's so valuable. It's so valuable to all of you sometimes. It's so valuable to people who lend money, the banks, because they can always check in the Duns number if there's been a bad trade or a bad director or whatever else, right? So out of this 570 million Duns number, there are around 290 or so which are inactive. Companies who have been bought, companies who have gone out of business, whatever, right? So there's a fairly large number of stuff which is still active, which may be around 270 million odd, right? So the interesting thing, which people get really fascinated about, is that out of this 270 million tons number, guess how many? Come on in, Mr. Koshi. Out of this 270, because we talked to Koshi a lot about the tons number, so he's coming at the right time. So last year at this event, actually, Koshi gave out tons number to 2 of the people on ONDC as a side. So out of this, 290 folks who have this active tons number, take a guess how many listed companies are there as part of the 290 million. Anybody wants to hazard a guess? Maybe close to 100,000. Good guess. Anybody else? So in interest of time, I'll move. It's around a little less than that actually. So in India, there are around 6,000 listed companies, out of which maybe half trade actively, but globally maybe the number is around 70,000 or so. There are only 70,000 listed companies in the world. And maybe as a complete aside, maybe the ones which really trade and are sizable are even 1/10 of that. So the worrying bit which I tell everybody is that all our pension and all our savings is in a very concentrated part of the world. So that's the number of the listed world. More than $100 million, around 1,000 crores or so. Take a guess how many companies are there in the world? How many companies are more than 1,000 crores in India? It's a subset of the listed companies. Out of the 6,000 odd, around 4,000 companies in India which are turnover of more than around 1,000 crores. The number is very small. Globally that number, and we are the 5th largest GDP by world, we only have 4,000. So if you add up all the companies in the world with more than 1,000 crores of revenue approximately, there will not be more than 1.5 lakh companies. Go down to $5 million, around 40, 50 crores. In India, how many companies are more than $1 million? 10 crores? Take a guess. I'm supposed to get energy in the room, so I'm running a quiz here. I'm the quiz master. 1.5 lakhs. So out of this MCA universe of around, 20, there are only 1.5 lakh companies in India with a turnover of more than 10 crores. So globally, more than 5 crores, there may be around 4-5 million companies. So the point I'm making is that out of this 270 odd companies with this DUNS number, 265 of you are in the same position globally. So when we look at Dun & Bradstreet, the problems which a small SME has in the US or has in Southeast Asia, has in Eastern Europe is exactly the same. And that's how we operate, and that's how we try to provide our services and benefits to you. So just giving the color, so that's why this summit is so important, because it addresses such a large part of the world, and specifically in India. The points been made earlier today, I'm sure, about growth, how do we get there, and what do SMEs do. So first of all, so just to give you that context, I think the second bit I'll say is that, I know I've got some prepared remarks, but Vipul, you stop me when it's time here. So in terms of India itself, we are at whatever we are, 3.5 whatever trillion dollars of GDP. Arun, who spoke in the morning, who's our global economist, who's there in the corner, he says that India will grow at 6.5-7% for a foreseeable future. And I hope we do, or we grow faster than that. And at that rate, we will land up somewhere about China's size is today at our 100th year of independence. So, 20, 25 years from now, if we grow at that rate consistently, and we need to do that to get to around where China is today, which is around, $21 trillion or so. So it's a big ask, right? And that a lot of that growth is really going to come from has to come from the SME. The employment has to come from SMEs. And that's why today it's so important, right? I think and when we look at our data in terms of, two key factors, and SMEs obviously is also, the number of SMEs which are really women-owned, and our data says that approximately 21% of all MSMEs are women-owned and provide pretty much similar amount of employment as well, around 20%. And the second bit again, which is very important in today's world, is the whole bit around digitization, because none of this growth can happen without digitization. Processes have to be digitized, financing has to be digitized, onboarding has to be digitized, all of that has to be digitized. And that's again a key theme, because that more and more SMEs need to get digitize themselves, get smarter with technology, and all of that, which I'm sure, which I'm sure you guys have touched upon. So I touched upon India. Yeah, I touched upon kind of likely growth. I touched upon the scenario which I played out. The ambitious Udyami Bharat program rests upon 4 foundation pillars: entrepreneurship, a lot of it in the room here; prosperity, comments about Rajkot and Gujarat; modernization, and self-reliance. These are really the key pillars which we need to get going in terms of making the micros bigger, getting that number up to a higher number. When you say, look at India, and we say we're the 5th largest GDP, and you only have 1.5 lakh companies with more than 10 crores of turnover, we've got a long way to go in terms of scale and size. I think there was some comment on China about medical devices. I was in and out of the room. But really, it's about scale, it's getting size. How can you do medical devices for the world if you are a small player? So I think scale is equally important. And in terms of DNB, as I gave you a perspective, we've got the publication which we are going to release later today. In that we have listed more than 5,800 SMEs and more than 1,800 mid-corporates. So that's taking the envelope pretty large out in terms of what we talked about. The 2 publications which we'll hope to release later today, when some of the other participants are in terms of leading SMEs of India and the leading mid-corporates of India, add to the long list of the 15 years of similar kind of publications we have done, which really helped, I think, understand the sector better and, give an way for some of you to kind of be known by the industry better as well. And obviously, thankful for the folks who helped put the awards together, which we'll also give out today, the Business Excellence Awards. And some of you will be here for that. For that, we had approximately 400 nominations from 20 sectors, based out of 47 cities across the country. And, pulling winners out of that is not an easy one. And, I wish more of you could participate. And we had a lot of help from people who sat on the jury, which was Ajay Thakur, who ran till recently the SME side of the BSE, the stock exchange. Prabhakar Dalal, who was the former ED of Exim Bank, and obviously one of my colleagues, Hitesh Sethi, who's a senior colleague of mine, who did that as well. In terms of the publications, very interestingly, I'll touch upon 2-3 other things. I guess things have turned around quite rapidly post the pandemic. But in terms of the data, I talked about the 5,800 SMEs and the 800 odd mid-corporates. Growth has been approximately 24% in FY23, which is comparable to the Nifty 50, the largest companies. So, SME is growing equally well. And a large number of this, 40%, actually grew at 30%. Let's see how things pan out going forward. But the recent past has been a very strong performance, which is, the tide is good, but you need to make things happen also to perform. And even when you look back maybe 20, 24, 36 months, growth has been commendable with, more than 20% of this universe growing at a top line CAGR of 30%. And we through our various kind of other efforts track that. So, and this kind of better financial performance is mirrored in the resurgence of the optimism among the SMEs. And, for the past 4 quarters, we have an index which we do with ASSOCHAM, which we started maybe 3 years ago. It's the DNB ASSOCHAM Small Business Confidence Index, which mirrors optimism across key business parameters, and that's had a 17% year-on increase in business confidence in Q2 of this year. So, long may the confidence remain, long may optimism remain, and the business environment and performance get better. So a lot of this is covered in those publications, which you should download once we release it and, get a chance. Happy to hear comments and any feedback on what we can include and make those publications better. So I touched upon DNB a little bit. I touched upon the 3 odd decades we've been here. And we work with, we also work with a very small subset of that universe of India. We have maybe around 6,000 clients in the country, which is a large number. But we could do a lot better. And what I'm saying, what we do in terms of DNB, I'm sure there are many other people who do it. But I think what we do for the SMEs is quite unique on a global platform, you know. So, and there's some products and services which we have which are very remarkable, which really don't cost a whole lot. It's more about a mindset in terms of trying to get things started. So, you know, I don't know if my colleagues have talked about the DUNS registered seal, which is really ONDC also. I'm sure Koshi may touch upon that, which, you know, the badge which Koshi keeps very keen to get going. That really allows you to, you know, what are the challenges that SME faces globally? The three main challenges any SME faces is credibility. You know, that's the biggest problem. Nobody knows me. How do I get known? Am I a credible supplier? I'm making medical devices. Will the world look upon me to buy that? You know, second problem obviously is everybody has his financing. And third problem is obviously finding new clients. So that's our universe. Our idea is to provide solutions around that. The DRS provides that very strongly in terms of giving you credibility. In India, with a lot of flow data and techniques to analyze flow data, you can present your numbers better, which we are able to help on. The other big problem in today's world is getting some kind of ESG marker. So, you know, am I ESG? Do I help you in your carbon footprint? And we have a ESG solution as well, an ESG registered solution, very similar to the DUNS registered solution. We are lucky that we started on ESG early, so we have scores on ESG on maybe around, you know, 70 million companies globally. We have scores on 2 million Indian companies, and that's very important in the supply chain. So this ESG thing is not going away, and, you know, getting solutions from folks like us will hopefully help people like you do that. As a complete aside, we also own 35% of a rating agency, Equity, which is like, which is one of the registered rating agencies licensed by SEBI. SEBI has come out with guidelines on ESG ratings for listed companies, which is only relevant to those 6,000. So Equity also has a license now to do anything on the ratings on the ESG side. So if you're doing a bond or you're doing a green bond, you need to get it rated by an ESG accredited SEBI licensed rating agency. So we are able to bridge the gap on both sides, on the listed side and on the unlisted side, through our ESG solutions. So we do the DRS, we obviously do provide scores and ratings which help in terms of the lending world. We have a unique product called DNB Hoovers, which is a product to identify new customers, suppliers, channel partners. It's a global product. Again, it's something which SMEs should use to find new customers. And obviously, we provide to understand credit worthiness of customers and suppliers through our DNB credit platform. So all of these are products, solutions which can be easily used by folks to, you know, get more business going, get more credible, and stand out differently from their competitors. We have a lot of testimonials from companies like yourselves and how these products have helped you grow. So we really do hope that it does help. So in conclusion, I extend my gratitude to all of you here in the room, to our partners, sponsors, and, you know, for your support. And together, I guess let's continue this journey of making this a stronger SME platform and transformation in terms of the country itself, as it we motor through in terms of growing the country and transforming the country in terms of the economy and the wider employment and things like that. So thank you for your time. I don't know if, thank you.